Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to It's Rainmaking Time. This is Kim Greenhouse. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Timothy Hickey. He is one of the founders of Friends of Water. They're in the business of saving, filtering, and celebrating water for the environment, for health, recreation, and gardening. There are a lot of people that are very concerned right now and are looking for products and information to educate themselves and to save and filter their water. And they're concerned about radiation, chlorine, chloramine, fluoride. There's a lot of concern. More people are becoming educated. Timothy Hickey has been in this business for 5 years. He comes out of the business of wholesaling tropical fish. We want to give him a warm welcome. He's going to help educate us about how we can save, filter, and celebrate water. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Timothy Hickey from Friends of Water. Good morning.
Good morning, Kim. Thanks very much.
The first thing I want to ask you is, what do you mean by save? I know what filter water means and celebrate water, but what does save water mean?
That's a good question. We mean two things by save water. One is stop using so much of it. We waste a lot of water in our culture, and there's not much of it available, is the truth of it. In our history, there's never been a time before where we have actually been using up groundwater in many places, and it essentially can't replenish once that happens. So by saving water, firstly, we mean reduce the usage, which can include reusing it, of course, gray water and the like. Secondly, we mean save water by stop doing things that contaminate it. So that's well illustrated by one of the products that we sell that works well, which is a laundry ball that doesn't add any detergent to the water that then runs off into the environment. So the second way is simply stop doing things in your garden and your house using the dangerous chemicals and the like that are bad both for us and Mother Earth.
Let's just talk about that product. I mean, this is not an infomercial, but you mentioned this laundry ball. So you don't use borax, mule team. What do you use in this ball then, and how do you clean your laundry?
Yeah, it's a fascinating product. I'm not a chemist, and I rapidly get over my head on how this exactly works, but it's a combination of ceramics and minerals in a patented cleaning technology. There are even microorganisms in it. And each of those components has a different property that, when combined, effectively clean clothes. Part of it is that it changes the water a little bit, that more readily allows dirt to be lifted from the surface. So it eliminates, the use of chlorine in the water and discoloration and oxidation, and it really works. We use it in our house, and a retreat we're affiliated with that has hundreds of people all the time coming through use it. It actually leaves no residue, has all natural components, so it's entirely non-toxic.
How many loads do you get with it?
1,000.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it's a nice money.
That should be called a Super Bowl. It's more than a laundry ball.
It's good, as many of the things we sell are for people with allergies and sensitivities, too. You can really have clean water and not use the chemicals that we Americans tend to go to for a lot of things.
Now, I did a show several weeks ago on fluoride with the Fluoride Action Center. And more people are becoming aware of the toxicity of fluoride and the dangers of fluoride on a lot of levels. However, chlorine is still not really been integrated as part of a danger. Chloramine is new for many people. And I can't believe how many people are still swimming in pools with the toxic chemicals in there. I went swimming down in Palm Springs at this big resort, and it dried my skin so bad. It was ridiculous. Talk a little bit about chlorine and chloramine that we need to understand more clearly.
Certainly. The first thing is that chlorine does play an important role. It is a disinfectant and did play an important part in eliminating a lot of dangerous and harmful diseases that we were passing around through the water, like malaria, So at least it serves a good, meaningful purpose. My thinking is good, thank you very much, but that doesn't mean we should drink it. Chlorine is designed and used for killing living things. That's its role in the water. So I'm not much impressed when people tell me, don't worry about it at the level in your drinking water. It won't cause harm. One of the reasons I'm not impressed is that assumes that that's the only source or exposure to it, which may or may not be the case. But there are studies that strongly suggest a link between exposure to chlorine and an increased risk of bladder cancer, for one. The EPA has said that virtually every bathroom in the country is over-chlorinated because chlorine releases into the air, and the body readily absorbs it through the skin, through both water and the air. So we do drink it, but we also bring it readily into the body through showering and bathing. So one study in Barcelona, done a few years ago now, reported that the more exposure to chlorine, the higher the risk. So
the higher the risk of what, Timothy?
Bladder cancer in particular, cancer and in particular bladder cancer. Those drinking highly chlorinated water, I'm not sure off the top of my head how they defined highly chlorinated, but raised the cancer risk by 35%. And to your point, swimming in chlorinated pools raised the risk by 57%. And those who those who took longer showers and baths in chlorinated water saw their risk of bladder cancer increase 83%.
How current are those studies, Timothy?
That was 2000. I'm quoting one that was done in 2006.
Okay. By
the Municipal Institute of Medical Research in Barcelona. There's conflicting information about chlorine. The U.S. Council of Environmental Quality has a quote that says cancer risk among people drinking chlorinated water is 93% higher than among those whose water does not contain chlorine. That seems a pretty strong statement from the U.S. Council of Environmental Quality. And yet I'm told the EPA actually doesn't classify chlorine as a carcinogen.
Of course not.
But they also have told municipalities to reduce trihalomethanes, which are a byproduct of chlorination. And the reason for that is that they have been linked with cancer. So, in the end, my feeling is we all have to make up our own minds. It just doesn't make sense to me to be drinking and absorbing through the skin something that's designed to kill living things.
I feel like humanity, we're kind of in a pickle because everywhere we turn, including going out and eating food at restaurants and drinking water at restaurants, in California, everything is fluoridated. And It's forced fluoridation in other states as well, in other countries. And the people in charge are contaminating the water with drugs and chemicals. And so everywhere you look, it's like in order to be safe, you really need to invest in equipment. And there's many different types of equipment. There's people that are into clustered water. There's people that will tell you there's a better way, have ionized water or non-ionized water. There's different facets of this whole thing that make filtering our water kind of complex. And I'd like you, if you could, to make it simpler for us in whatever way you can. Can you?
Well, I could try. In one sense, that's what we're working on every day here. A lot of the issues are extremely complex, and you get into a lot of chemistry, and